A quarter century ago, the best-known photographers focused on political and social events. That contemporary photographers have redefined their role became clear with an exhibit at the Museum of Modern Art in 1980. As the New York Times noted, there is scarcely a hint of the civil rights movement or the war in Vietnam. It is not society that commands their allegiance, but the imperatives of a personal vision. The work of Emmet Gowin was included in that exhibition.
The part of my own photographic experience that will probably always be the most precious to me was the fact that after I had been involved with Cartier-Bresson and Robert Frank and other photographers as models who were, in a sense, to me, representative of a brave, knowledgeable European understanding, a cosmopolitan sense of the world, I realized that was not my character at all. I didn't have any kind of cosmopolitan understanding. I had a kind of very small local understanding. And I was a local person living in a local situation. And I realized that my own family, Edith's family, was as miraculous as the most distant people in the world. And they were at the same time the most available to me, and perhaps available only to me. So I turned my interest to them. My interest was already with them, but I hadn't any idea that art could be made by simply telling the story of your own life, your own experience. I should have understood this, but I didn't. But I realized that, in a sense, telling my own story, using as subject matter the people that I knew and loved, and this automatically involved an intimacy that I couldn't have had in another way, I don't think. Edith, my wife, said the other night to some friends at dinner, a woman who teaches school had spoken to her and said, "Oh, Edith, these pictures of you are too personal. How do you manage?" And she says, "Oh, you haven't seen the photographs that are too personal." And I love the answer, but also it puts in the mind, we know more than we say. We know ourselves in a deep sense, just the same way as we know the family. We don't tell everything we know about the family, and we don't tell everything we know about ourselves. We tell those things that we feel have a chance poetically of fitting back into life, and that means fitting back into the feelings of other people. It immediately makes me think of something that I'm finding as I go to schools and talk to people and travel and visit, that people will say, "Well, your pictures of your family are really wonderful, and we like those the best. Why don't you do that anymore?" And I'm rather hesitant to say to people face to face, in a sense, that, there's something really important at stake here. If things happen to our advantage, if we find ourselves in a situation we really love and cherish and it nourishes us, it would be a mistake to hope that you would find that situation the rest of your life in that form, in that way. You know, if something good happened, it happened in that peculiar way and it belonged to a particular time. Don't make the mistake of wanting that same thing to happen again, because you won't find that thing again. Everything belongs to its season, to its place. So, but I think of the family, for instance, that family had a different sense at that time. And then the grandmother died, then two uncles died. Then the children who were the babies in the pictures are having their own babies now. There's that sense of change. And our job is simply to take things the way they are. We're at the mercy of what nature presents us with as photographers. Our feelings also change. and we grow in complexity. These people, my wife's family, were in a sense farmers, weavers, cotton mill people, workers, simple people, in touch with nature. And that affected where they lived and how they lived and the way they carried on their affairs. That's exactly what's at the heart of my newer pictures, but the family, in a sense, has grown to be a larger one. I've begun to visit people in Italy and to see different parts of the world. And what fascinates me the most is what man does in his friendship with nature in order to cooperate and to make it more productive. Industry, man's whole relationship with nature is the same relationship of using and building, using up, and contribution. That still is a very fascinating thing to see. It's very fascinating to consider. You know, man can't afford to conceive of nature and exclude himself. And it's an interesting dilemma because people at one time were very much in the habit of saying that nature is full of disorder and chaos. And they wanted to say that art and man's activity is an attempt at ordering. And this is all, in a sense, very, very true. This is a correct perception. But nature doesn't consist purely of disorder, purely of... What do we say about Mount St. Helens? We say that it's a natural disaster, meaning that disaster is natural. I wouldn't like to see that kind of play on words get transferred into man's convictions about what is characteristic of human behavior. Because if you would do that, you would say that disaster is natural and man will always, forever, bring himself to the brink of disaster. He will always, in fact, stumble into his own disaster. And so I'm for survival. And I'm for the survival of beautiful images.